If you are expecting a great stream today, I am sorry to announce, but today is the day when I shall be testing out stuff, both in game design and when it comes to the stream itself. I've hooked it up to Stream Elements, and I really hope that this will finally work. Okay. Now, first of all, I really hope the audio will be fine. I don't know if I can check without issues. Actually, maybe I can. If I mute the desktop audio and unmute the stream for a moment. Okay, now then. I'm gonna mute my microphone. That's a shame. Okay, now it should be back to normal. I will have to figure out what's up with that later, because now I guess the microphone source is not working. Maybe it's something to do with properties? Easy effect source. Yeah, never mind. Okay. Hey, my chat is working. Okay, new message. This is a legendary message. Let's see what's up. And is it displayed? Is it working? I wonder if I could make the... Hey, it's working. If I could make the font bigger, that would be lovely, but I am not gonna do that right now. Because right now, I got my Apple chips ready. And I had an idea earlier today. I have yet to make anything actually useful out of the idea. I have yet to take it out of the head, and my hope is that today's stream will be precisely that. So, what is my great idea? Relationships as classes. I don't know yet if this will be good. I don't know yet if this will work, but it is an idea worth testing out. Maybe it's gonna be something, maybe it's gonna be nothing. And I feel like switching up the music. Oh, I was not expecting it to just go out immediately. Okay, let's see. Ready the castle. Preparations for celebration or war. Ambience and music. Okay, what do I mean by this? I don't know yet even if it's gonna be relationships as classes specifically, but that's my starting thesis. You don't get to select your abilities completely on your own. Okay, this music is actually kind of distracting me. You don't get to select the abilities by yourself. Instead, they are reactions to your past experiences. How do I put it? No, this one could be nice. Okay, so let's put this here so that is one sentence. I am picturing something like this. Now, this is extremely scuffed right now. It is a raw idea that I am trying to put into some kind of shape, but I think this is promising. Picture it like this. Instead of a class, well, not instead of a class, maybe in addition to class or something like that, you would pick several NPCs which you have a really close relationship with. And these NPCs could do these kinds of events to you, which would then allow you to react in some way and earn this or that ability, or maybe more, depending on how many possible reactions one could come up with here. Now, this is just as an example. No idea what forgiveness would mean in this context. What ability would forgiveness give? Okay, this is just me brainstorming whatever's coming to my mind right now. Now, the tough thing about this is that social matters are really, really hard to list out in completion. Like, oh, this is betrayal, this is confession of love, this is getting rejected. Actually, a reaction to a reaction? Okay. Well, okay. I should have some kind of resource for this sort of stuff in my notes application. There we go. Okay, there are 4 types of fundamental situations that create emotions. Okay, so these are 8 really basic types of emotions, apparently. I don't remember what's the source of this, I just wrote down the stuff, and then there is also a table that combines everything. Oh, and also the notes from Thirsty Sword Lesbians. angry, break something important to you or someone you care about. Frightened, run away and leave something important behind. Guilty, sacrifice something important just to hurt yourself for what you've done. Hopeless, lose yourself in escapism or pleasure when you should be doing something important. And insecure, take rash action to confront the object of your jealousy or prove your worth without conferring with friends or making a plan first. I don't know yet if this will be useful, but it is something that might come to use. This table is really big. Let's fix that. Still big. Okay, good enough. See, now this is where this stuff gets more interesting. I kind of want something that could mix these situations, which is right here, but I want the player to have agency in it as well. Does the player have agency in whether they can destroy the thread or not? Kind of? They have agency in deciding whether they wish to try or not. But that being said, I feel like they don't get to choose which way. Can they identify something unknown? I guess similar thing could be said here. The player could feel like they know what to anticipate, but that could be wrong. I guess the same thing can be said for everything in here. How do I make this work? Okay, now that's mildly concerning. The chat messages are not vanishing at all. Not sure why. It's not that big of a deal, but let's see if I can check it. Wait, was it elements? Messages fade after 30 seconds, but it's not doing anything. Oh, show messages permanently. Okay. Now that should be working as it should, as I intended. And there we go. Okay, now the messages have vanished. Finally. Okay. I'm trying to think of how I can process this into something actually useful for me. First of all, let's cancel this, just so it's more readable. Okay. Let's see if that works. Is the 1 second delay too much? Because this looks like way more than a single second. Actually, is it even displaying? Okay, yeah, it's displaying. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that works. I really hope I did not mess something up when it comes to permissions to text. Okay. And now then I should switch up the music. Let's see, is there any like happy music? Or casual frontier town? Yeehaw! There we go. And it's looping, or set to loop. I'm already trying to make a system out of it. Let's just... Okay, let's discard that for now. And instead let's just list stuff. Because, for all I know, this could be something useful even for D6 Feet Under. I mean, think about it. We have 5 major NPCs, which you would originally be supposed to seek for revenge, you know? The problem with that is it can get a little repetitive. So, what if instead of just the vendetta targets, you could put in there other stuff? Well, okay, maybe not in those slots for vendetta targets, but in general, you would be able to track other NPCs as well. These apple chips are so good. Okay. Betrayal. Confession. Secret shared. What other moves could build a relationship? Supported by something in the environment. That's trust and cheerfulness. Trust and cheerfulness together give sentimentality, I believe? No, that's... That's dejection. Love. Okay, so love is one of these. Okay, let's just do it like this. There we go. Trust and aversion. So, both being and not being supported by something that's not useful for me right now. Aversion and dejection. Someone cannot support me, and they cannot give me a resource, therefore... I feel remorse? Okay. Let's get more specific. Because just betrayal is a lot. So... just got a message about something. Let me go check something really quick. Okay, I cannot hear much. Let's see if this will work. Okay, never mind that. Okay. Coercion and blackmail. Let's check. Let's check my blog and social. Yes, social interaction mechanics, the dialogue. This one. Yeah, okay. Regarding this game, it was a nice experiment, but it turned more into a tabletop game than a tabletop role-playing game. Even though it had some nice ideas like secrets and this, which was the original name for the game, Finders, Keepers, Binders, Weepers. Finder is someone who finds out about the secret. Keeper is the original owner of this secret, the one who this secret is related to. Binder is a finder who would use the secret against the keeper in a blackmail or something like that. And Weeper is whoever would be hurt by learning this secret. This also... Is this gonna be the same? Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing. Two of the following abilities. Yeah, okay, this is actually funny to me, because it reminds me slightly of the fact that I played Vampire the Masquerade recently for the first time. Actually, let me just stop that, because I don't know, I don't feel like talking cowboys. Let's talk vampire. 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 That's right. Welcome, my manor. It is vampire time. Yeah, okay. So let's see. Social combat. You know what? Let's just read through these for the old time's sake, because I do like the fact that my blog serves as a sort of diary for me, where I can revisit my old ideas and see if I can make anything useful of them now. So, July 24th, 2024, Wednesday. I'm busy lately, but my thoughts keep returning to social interactions and my current ideals for their design. I've written it multiple times in various chats, so I'm thinking instead of repeating myself, I'll make a blog post on this that I can link to in the future. And in the future, about 2 years later, I can also read it out loud on a stream. Why not? Social combat. When I mentioned that I want my game to have social interaction mechanics, people normally assume that what I seek is to turn a conversation into a minigame, into what I call quote-unquote social combat. In combat, participants have AC that needs to be overcome with attack rolls in order to reduce the participants' HP to 0, eliminating them from the combat. Swap the labels out, and you get a debate minigame, right? Well, that's what they assume, which is why their response is boiled down to 2 categories. The whatever TTRPG does this, or players prefer social interactions to be freeform. I tried the social combat rules before and personally I didn't like them. Maybe I was running them wrong, but it felt too stilted and unnatural. Now, for the context, I've ran social interaction rules that were written on this website, Tribability.com, and it was this specific article. The characters attempt to attain a goal, following our goals for social combat, either convincing someone, or embarrassing them, or persuading them. How do you do it? Well, you have society score, which is determined by your charisma or intelligence modifier, whichever is higher, I think. You have social HP, social AC, you have social attack modifier, and yeah, you determine who is involved, roll initiative, you take turns, and begin the next round. Repeat step 1 until the combat is resolved. I guess this would be meant to say step 3 or step 4. Because step 1 is just determining the participants. Anyway, actions. You could attack someone, which would deal 1d4 plus society score of quote-unquote damage, social damage. It is written here. It's social damage, everyone. You could also boost, which gives social HP to an ally or their society score. You could cast a spell, which is self-explanatory, dodge, which avoids social attacks, and so on and so forth. I'm not gonna say that this is bad. I will say that this did not work for me, because once players started actually arguing by giving proper arguments, right? Well, eventually their arguments ran out, so they resorted to just ad hominem attacks, which I'm not sure where exactly they are here, probably attack, and just, trying to insult people until they back down or something, withdraw. And in a situation where you are trying to convince someone, you cannot insult them and expect things to go well. So, long story short, the social combat did not really work out for me. I guess the biggest flaw was that I expected the players to describe their argument. Or maybe the players started describing them on their own. Both of them are viable. What I'm trying to say is just, if I were to describe every move in combat and expect every move to be unique, I too would probably get tired of all that description and resort to the whatever the simplest possible way of dealing with it is, because you will never run out of insults. So this did not work for me. So no, I don't want social combat per se. You can keep your duels of wits in the Burning Wheel and other types of social combat. I'm not saying they are bad, they are just not what I seek. Perhaps the mistake I made while running social combat was that I required players to say something with every argument. Well, hindsight is 2020. Indeed it is. D&D is fine with no social interaction mechanics. I'm sorry, but I feel tired when I hear this. The conversation in this case usually goes like this. D&D is fine with no social interaction mechanics, but it does have social interaction mechanics. Yeah, I guess charisma checks count. Not even beyond that. No, even beyond that. Like personality traits, ideals, bonds and flaws? No, like detect thoughts, telepathy, zone of truth, speak with death, and so on. The problem with this is that pretty much everything or anything I can name off the top of my head that is a social interaction mechanic is a spell. And as a fighter or a barbarian, you don't get access to that, which is a shame. So, my recent conversation on the topic with Kyle was, I guess Kyle was rather illuminating. These labels might not be what people universally use, but they do feel accurate to my experience discussing social interaction mechanics. The big distinction I was ignoring so far was that he labeled mechanics and content. The way I understood his explanation, content is game mechanics that aren't shared by all players. AC, saving throws, rules for hiding and grappling and moving around, all these are accepted by the players as mechanics, whereas class features, racial species features, background spells and other things that only some have are all considered something separate by the players, distinct from that content. I find the distinction silly, but it does line up with the conversations I had on the topic so far. Yes, so I still do find the distinction silly, because when I look at a spell, the way it is written, I will not go, oh, this is such good content. I will think, oh, this is such a cool mechanic, you know? Okay, I'm getting tired of the vampire music now. Let's quiet it down a little. And let's see, what else do I have here? Halfling sneak? Maybe that will be good. We will see. Also, I think I will quiet it down a little bit because their music is pretty loud. Okay, so yeah, what I'm trying to say is what I'm looking for is mechanics, and I don't really care if it's something that everyone can use or something that some specific people can use. I just want more social mechanics in the game. I don't want to make it a separate article section, so I'll say it here. I love and hate detect thoughts and suggestion, the same way I love and hate rogues in 5e. Each of these is too good not to take. Mind reading is a solution to 90% of insight checks and or interrogations. Suggestions. Suggestion is a Swiss Army knife or of solutions for social interactions, unless the target has an immunity to the charmed condition. And rogue. Look, does rolling 20 plus on insert skill here get you anywhere? Of course it does. Okay, I mean, maybe it doesn't get you anywhere because there's also a difficulty 25 and difficulty 30. Look, the point is, I still believe this whole thing pretty much wholesale because suggestion is just a wisdom saving throw, which anyone could fail in theory. Detect Thoughts literally requires no saving throw, no ability check, you just get to read thoughts. And I mean, I love it, and I hate it also. And the Rogue, I I will need to make a separate stream where I will complain specifically about Dungeons and Dragons and my 5 issues with it. Rogue is literally one of them. Because Fighter, what are you good at? I am good at fighting. Ranger, what are you good at? I am good at exploration. Bard, what are you good at? I am good at spellcasting, and I am good at social interaction, and I guess a bit of everything. Rogue, what are you good at? Skill checks are in every pillar of experience. I am good at whatever I want. Even everything. Okay, going on. Information management. Here's my hypothesis. The two main sources of drama are managing who knows what and seeing what will they do about it. This is a formula I figured out a year ago when I wrote my first entry for One Page RPG Jam 2023, though I don't remember it if I spelled the formula out the same way I did there. And that's my first entry within that year, the game I briefly addressed today. Skimming some of the article, it seemed I was thinking the same things back then too, though my experiment arrived at a different conclusion there. So what do I want? I want to give the players the tools for guiding social interaction, tipping the favors, and so on. Mechanizing what the players will do about information is pointless. That's already part of the game unless they are on a strict railroad. But the players need a lot more to generate drama and interesting social interactions are mechanics for information management. Manipulation of what information is known by which people, and who knows about these people knowing this information. Some categories of these include information gathering without others knowing, like eavesdropping, hiding, scrying, clairvoyance, invisibility, seeing through another's senses, hidden cameras or microphones or drones or familiars, hacking, analysis of online activity, and so on. Some of them are marked with asterisk. I know these and some others that aren't marked are things people could do normally, but I knew these categories are broad enough to warrant listing, and it would feel weird if they weren't listed there. Yeah, if we want to return back to the labels of mechanics and content, eavesdropping and hiding and shouting and distraction and whispers could all work really well as mechanics, while other stuff could be content for the most part, I guess. I haven't read everything again. Because anyone could eavesdrop, anyone could whisper, anyone could shout, and so on. Information transfer without others knowing. Okay, so that was information gathering, this is information transfer. Instead of just receiving information, you convey the information to someone else, such as whispers, written messages, codes, hand signs, invisible ink, telepathy, lie detection, and so on. I don't know if lie detection is that. I would say lie detection is information gathering, if anything. Or maybe something else within this. Information gathering prevention. So, you are preventing someone from learning a thing. Such as distraction. You prevent someone from knowing you are there. Darkness. Making a person enter or leave a room. By the way, that's a mechanic that I really like, and I am so sad that not many games have this as a feature. This should be a feature. I know, you could do this with a suggestion spell, like, oh, go away from the room until I say, get over here, and then you can enter the room, and so on. But that's using a Swiss Army knife exclusively as a screwdriver, when you could have a screwdriver, you know? Suggestion is nice, but suggestion is solving too many things. Okay, whatever, I'm getting distracted. Illusions, holograms, simple lies, forged evidence or documents. So this is for information gathering prevention. In other words, fake information gathering? Gathering of fake information is what I'm trying to say. Or just gathering no information whatsoever. Information transfer prevention. So silence spell, shutting down a device, and so on. And finally, mass information transfer, like shouting, online broadcasts, speakers/megaphones, mass telepathy, rumors, displaying something on the sky or somewhere else very visible, and so on. I really like all of these categories, and I am so glad I revisited this article for this, because this is, this is something that could be used. Not sure if it could be used in my design so far, but, time will tell. I know, okay. I'm not sure if these categories are sufficient or not, but so far it's looking quite promising. Of course, I could explore more, but I'm not sure if it's all that worth it. If I were to make the exact opposites of all categories, I could get information gathering with others knowing. Okay, yeah, so just watching, listening without hiding it. Information transfer with others knowing, so openly stating something, fairly intuitive stuff. Allowing information gathering, so not preventing someone from listening. Allowing information transfer, so letting two characters talk. And information transfer to a small number of people, like talking. All of these are something people can already do, no special game mechanics are needed there. Right, I've included the rules for these in some of my games and one-shots before. I like to say that you can whisper to someone who is adjacent to you, and only people adjacent to you can hear it. So if someone wants to eavesdrop on you whispering, they will need to stand right next to you. And shouting would reach pretty much everything on the map. But that being said, I usually play on kind of small maps, not that big. That's just intuitive stuff to me. Hiding, you should not be seen. Maybe you need to make a roll of some kind, who knows. What else? Hand signs, I guess that's treated somehow like a language, code as well. Invisible ink, telepathy, lie detection. Yeah, when it comes to lie detection, I've got some strong opinions on perception or information gathering skills. So, I don't know. Let's just move on for now. That being said, how about we add some universal guidelines to social interaction? I tried to make up mechanics for the volume of sounds a couple months back for my own game, but I'm afraid they are too complicated. Time to come up with something simpler. Okay, let's just mark that for a moment. This was written in 2024, so the year when I published the RuneHack RPG. It's probably gonna reference some of that stuff. Sometimes it's unclear which of the PC's words can be heard by which NPCs, so let's work on that. As a starting point, how about the baseline rule that I want to be true? You can hear a conversation that takes place in a small room that you are in. You can hear whispers only if you are right next to the whisper. There we go. We're back at home. I still like to use this. In my systems, room is a couple of areas, so room is more along the lines of theater of mind. If the room is too big, you won't be able to hear a conversation that happens on the other side of it. Let's establish 3 types of environments and how far can sounds be heard depending on their volume in the environment. Okay, so about this, I am not sure if I am that happy about this because this is a bit too complicated. If I do this again, I want this to be simpler. +1 if the environment is quiet, -1 if it's loud. -2 if the sound is quiet, +2 if the sound is loud. Inconsistent capitalization, but whatever. -1 if the sound source is tiny, +1 if the sound source is large. Apply exceptions at the GM's discretion. 0 if the final distance is less than 0. So this would define how far away the sounds are heard. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess it works if it's printed as a table like this. It could work if you had it on a GM screen, but at the same time it feels like a bit too much. I don't know how I would simplify this. I'm just gonna do you all a favor and skip the section therefore. A silent room, whispers footsteps, conversation, casual tone, rainfall, shouting, speakers, megaphones, heavy machinery. Okay. Are the new rules simple? Somewhat easy, certainly easier than what I originally wrote. They are still not that easy. Social interaction is removed within drama. That's about it. Okay, so overall thoughts, I like this section. I'm gonna copy that into my notes. Okay, good enough for now. Now then, this is the article that I really wanted to see. Before I get to it though, let's check briefly if there's anything here. A week before the game jam started, my wonderful girlfriend told me about this one show she stumbled upon and convinced me to watch. Am I Being Unreasonable? It's a British comedy thriller that, honestly, at a glance gave me the impression of a lowbrow British comedy about an awful mother and her son who's way too emotionally mature for his age. I was quite impressed after binging it over 3 hours, having gone through all of its twists, turns and reveals. It's best to go into it blind, but I think it could be compared to Odd Taxi, another shortish show that I liked a lot. Thinking about these 2 shows and some others had led me on some interesting thought trains. One of them is the essence of social interactions. A mechanical way to run a social interaction feels to me like a holy grail within the TTRPG designer community. Some games have done it and are known because of it, but generally I hear folks say it can't be done or it shouldn't be done. I've given it a try several times actually, giving attributes like trust, stubbornness, composure, and others, or mechanizing it, turning it into a social combat as per suggestions on tribality. But it didn't feel right, something wasn't clicking. When I actually ran the social combat I just linked in my D&D campaign, the novelty wore out quickly and it developed into a literal name-calling fight. Why? Because I required players to keep making arguments and to roll to see if they convey the arguments well enough. It was a fine thing to try, but I can tell now in hindsight that I likely didn't play it right. After all, you don't require your fighters to describe every single maneuver as something completely new in a battle, right? Of course, after a time it would get tiresome and they'd devolve into something simple. Experiences like that one, combined with never achieving the goal of designing a good social interaction system, had led me to a conclusion that it's not impossible, but not worth it either. My philosophy ever since has been that what players need isn't an intricate mechanical system, it's a set of tools they can use to do what they want. Yeah, that's still my philosophy, and it's been almost 3 years since then. I had an epiphany sometime in the week after. These shows, and social drama generally, are about manipulating the information flow. Think about it. Character A finds out about something character B hides from characters C and D. What will they do about it? Will the character B find out? We might assume that character C would react to this fact with sadness, while character D would use the secret in the future against character B. But can we be sure? I was pondering this over a weekend before the game jam began, staying up a little past midnight while chatting with a friend about this, toying with the idea of making it into a game. And then the game jam began. I put those thoughts on hold, refreshed the game jam website, and waited. That's when the theme was revealed and it hit me. Rumors and secrets. The title provided me with the other half of the social dynamic. Sure, character A holds power because they know something nasty about character B. But what if it's not true at all? And just like that, I had the perfect game for this game jam. And the game did not turn out well, but you know what, yeah, this is the original title. Your Royal Slyness. Second page, hacking potential. I mean, yeah, no. Since then I've kind of grew to dislike this game, but that's just a personal stance. Now let's get to this. This is sort of a continuation of my social mechanics article. I played recently another one-shot using the City of Mist system, and its convince action has kind of opened my eyes. In the previous article I focused more on information gathering. Right now it's time to focus more on how to use this information. Request, offer, and threat. Now this is what ended up in my RuneHack RPG. It is still there. I don't know yet if I want this to be in whenever I design a second edition for it, because I do want to overhaul it, design a second edition. But for now, this is what we'll do, I guess. In a social interaction, you can make statements made up of 3 basic components: requests, offers, and threats. A request is what you want from another NPC, like, leave this town, let me into the castle, give me a discount. Reasons to make this request happen. Okay, hold on, what is this sentence? Reasons to make this request happen could be a part of this, but I'll talk about that later. Offer is a beneficial thing that you offer to the NPC. Like, for example, I'll give you 50 gold pieces, I'll praise you in King's presence, I'll advertise your shop. And threat is a detrimental thing that might happen to the NPC caused by you in some way. For example, I'll fight you to death, the world will end, I'll stop shopping here. The line between an offer and threat is blurry one, since you could word a threat as an offer, like, let me into the castle and it won't get your teeth broken. And maybe this could work vice versa too, but right now I can't think of an example. This is fine, though, because this is where the GM comes in. The GM could tell apart offers and threats on the spot better than 3 detailed pages of rules just by using their own judgment. That's something I still stand by. There's another aspect to this that I'll need to bring up before continuing, and that is a bluff. Any of the 3 components of a statement listed above, or any part of it, can be a lie. You could lie about what you want, like, I didn't want just $1,000, I want $1 million. You have 24 hours to bring it. You could lie about what you could do, whether it's positive, like, and you'll never be bothered by my clan again, or negative, or else I'll blow up this city. Okay, that's nice and all, but how does this play a role in social interaction? Where do the stats come in, and what do you roll to convince or threaten people? Here's the trick. You roll to see what can be trusted, not to see what the person chooses. Now, I don't know if I feel like reading all of this. The example might be a good one. The point is just, I don't want persuasion to be mind control. And I know people will tell me persuasion is not mind control, it's just uh, whether the person is convinced or not, whether your words are convincing enough. But then also, uh, the person would not do something that they would not be willing to do anyway, just because of a good persuasion roll. Look, that's kind of my problem with all of this, is that I want the choice to be still in the hands of whoever is controlling the character. I want this to work symmetrically. So, the same way that a player would make an offer to an NPC or offer request threat, the same way an NPC could make offer request threat to the player. It's that simple. Just okay, let's just go to the example, and then I will look and see if this is worth reading. Example: king's riches or prince's life. The king receives a message. Give me all the money in your royal treasury, and I will release your son alive. Otherwise, I will kill him. Let's play the role of the king and examine every part of this statement, especially focusing on what would make them more or less credible. Request: give me all the money in your royal treasury might be a sensible request, provided the kingdom is doing well economically. If the kingdom is poor, the kidnapper will likely be disappointed by the money and do something unexpected in return, like killing the prince after receiving the money. If the kidnapper has a particularly bad reputation, they could also keep increasing their demands over time. So this is the sort of stuff that could be untrustworthy here. Offer: I will release your son sounds promising. But again, if the kidnapper has a bad reputation for being vile, they could decide not to release the prince even after receiving the money. On the other hand, if the kidnapper is a good, reasonable person, was doing this because of something else pressuring them, they could give in and release the son, regardless of receiving all the money from the royal treasury. The credibility of this offer would decrease if the prince was in the castle all along, not kidnapped at all, safe and sound. That is, unless you want to say that the high enough level threats could teleport in and out of the castle. In which case, yeah, they could kidnap the son. Finally, the threat: I will kill your son is a rather significant threat, even bigger if it's the heir to the throne. What could increase the credibility of this threat is learning that the kidnapper has no issues killing people without a second thought. A decrease in credibility could come with learning that the kidnapper is secretly in love with the prince, for example. Finally, the king's choice. After making the relevant rolls, the choice falls at the end of the day on the king. He has all the information he can get now: the worth of prince's life, the amount of money in his treasury, whether the prince will be released if he complies, killed if he declines the request, and whether the kidnapper demands only the money in the kingdom's treasury. All of this, mixed with the king's personality and priorities, leads to the choice. If the king is an NPC, the choice is made by the GM. If it was a player... Hold on, let me check something. Okay. If it was a player, the player makes a choice, unless someone else makes this choice for him, like playing the kidnapper with all the money for the royal treasury without consulting the king. Oh, paying the kidnapper. So this is, I think, the best example of what I am trying to say, is that I wanted to codify this stuff somehow. This worked, but I don't know yet if this is gonna be good for this. Because, okay, let's just analyze it through that lens. Abandoned in time of need. You request help or something. You request assistance because you trust this person and you believe they would help you out. And they will abandon you exactly when you need them. Hell, maybe you don't even get to make a request. Maybe they abandon you before you could make the request. That, I mean, that kind of works, I guess. Love confession. This is, I believe, an offer and a request. Like, maybe just an offer. You know, like saying, "Here, I love you. You have my admiration, my love, my trust. And if you do not feel the same way, that is okay. I am not requesting anything from you." Something like that. Yeah, I guess that works. Secret shared. Now, whenever you share a secret, usually it comes with the assumption that there is a request to not share the secret further. Otherwise, it's not going to be a secret, it's just going to be a piece of information. So, offer, I will give you this hidden piece of information, and request, you are not to share it further. Pretty clean. Sharing another secret. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Actually, maybe not. Maybe the catch here is that there is an extra condition to not tell the person whose secret this is. Direct betrayal? I don't know. I don't think that's even a social move, because that's just direct action. I mean, it can be considered social, but it's not just words. It's not an offer, it's not a threat, it's not a request. This is direct betrayal. This is the moment at which you just get hurt. Indirect betrayal through others is similar. It's just tricky because someone else does it for you or something like that. Finally, there's coercion and blackmail. So, request, do this, combined with threat, or else something bad will happen to you. Okay. Fun thing about this is that it codifies other stuff as well. Roll on any part of the statement to see if a lie involved. It would be inside roll opposed by a relevant charisma skill. Threat, persuasion, offer, request, deception for anything that's a bluff. For the Runehagen RPG, I'm considering a hunch roll composed by comprehension with a range of success that decides how many of the components you can identify as trustworthy. The roll should somehow be modified depending on the statement's credibility. To rephrase it, would they do this assuming they can? Anyone could say they will destroy the planet, and that's quite a bold claim. Can this be trusted? How could they possibly destroy the world? And I mean, even if they can, would they? Same could be asked about the offer. Will they let my kidnapped relative free? Or even about the request. Do they really want just $1,000? So you roll to see if the request, offer, or threat is credible. On a success, you can tell without a doubt whether they are bluffing or not. On a failure, you are left in the dark. It could be anything. I feel like if I were to do this again, I would probably do it through paper slips or spoiler tags on Discord, I guess. But that would require some trust. I would ask whoever is making the statement to write their planned course of action on the paper slip or into the spoiler block, and then if the roll is a success, whoever is inciting it or studying it to look at the spoiler, look at the paper slip, and see what the course of action actually is. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, moving on. Once all the rolls for bluffing are finished, it's decision time. The character chooses their next course of action. That's it. What do you expect the die to get involved in this? I mean, this could be resolved Pendragon style by giving the character some ideals or personality traits they will roll for to see what they'll choose, but I don't think that's necessary. Make a choice the character in question would want to make. How would the GM know what does an NPC want? Well, look at all the components and ask yourself, do they want to go along with whatever is requested of them? Would they want whatever is offered in return? Is it bearable for them to go along with the threat involved? Now, a social interaction isn't about dice mind controlling the characters. No longer is there an asymmetry in how charisma affects the players and NPCs. Whoever is making the choice makes the choice. Social interaction can be quite complicated, which is why I've thought about this problem for years. Turning it into a minigame feels weird and inhumane. Trying to list all the rules is a lot of work for the designer of the game. Oh boy. Oops, that aged poorly. But also for those who wish to use the rules, but could benefit from some structure. I think this might work, splitting the statement into a request, an offer, and a threat, rolling to see if any of this is a bluff or if they can be trusted, and then leaving the choice up to the character and the player who controls them. Does the impact of this decision play a factor? Yes, but only in processing things as your character. Is saving your loved one worth it if you kill another person while doing so? How about 2 people? 5, 10, 100? What choice your character makes in a situation says a lot about them. It would be a shame for this to be wasted because dice and randomness. Yeah, if you want to, you can end up with rolling a die to decide, I guess. Thank you for reading and have a nice day. Yeah, I still like this. I still believe this. I don't know if I can make use of this, but at the very least, it makes for a nice structure, nice framework to think in. So here's the thing, right? I could have a statement that is just a request, in which case it's begging. Give me $1, just $1. What do I give in exchange? Nothing. What happens if you don't comply? Do I threaten you? Not at all. Just give me $1, man. It could be just an offer. Here you go. Have an apple. Have an apple, Snow White. It sure ain't poisoned. Or you could just make a threat, which would be just, I don't know, intimidation or anything. I'm going to crack your skull. Okay, is there anything I can do to not make you crack my skull? No. Can I offer you anything? No. Well, shit, okay, that's it then. So, making a request in combination with offer is a trade exchange, you know? Like, I give you this, you give me that. Request and threat is similar, but more in an intimidation type way. So, give me this, or I will punch you. Offer and threat, that is actually a little silly. I cannot come up with a proper example, because in my mind it looks something like, I am going to give you $5 and punch you in the face. Like, okay, is that, do you want me to give you a permission to punch me in the face? No, you just You're just gonna give me $5 and punch me? Okay, sure. And request, offer and threat is exactly actually the whole situation here. Give me all the money, I will release your son, otherwise I will kill him. Right, so that's for information. This is not even information manipulation. This is just making offers, requests. I don't know how to phrase that. Okay, it's a little troublesome, but I'll figure something out eventually. Honestly, I have to be straightforward. This stream is hardly about game design. I just had this cool idea that I wanted to share, where your relationships or your events in the past would shape what kinds of abilities you would have in the present. And then I got stuck because I don't know how to formulate how to put agency into this. Because just another person choosing your abilities for you is silly. Like, ooh, I'm gonna pick all the dumb stuff for this player and they will suck at everything. I don't want that. I want the player to also have a choice, because there is a choice in how you react to being betrayed, for example. There is a choice in how you react to someone sharing a secret with you. Do you share the secret with others, or do you keep it? Or maybe do you reject it? Do you scold the person for the secret that they shared with you? It's tough. It's tough because, like I said in the article, I cannot codify all of the social interactions, everything ever. Social interaction is complicated, and that would just take me forever. Now, the upside is that this would be therefore very open to homebrew, because players could be like, hey, this social interaction is missing, and I have an idea for a cool ability related to it. But I don't know. I don't know yet. Also, this long word is irking me, so let's just... I think that's all of them. Yeah. So, at least that's the idea I've had. I've had an idea where you would have a couple of NPCs, NPC A, NPC B, NPC C, NPC D, NPC E. Emil, Dan, not the Dan, Carl, Betty, and Arnold. Okay. Yeah, 5. Actually, they don't even have to be NPCs. That's the best part. They could be player characters as well. Your character would have a list of NPCs who they... not NPCs, a list of characters who they consider important and influential in their life, and their actions could define what the player gets to choose from. Maybe that's the key. Instead of trying to list all of the social moves, I should probably list, or try to list, some kind of a list of the reactions. Maybe that's the trick. And since I made a list of reactions, This could be useful finally. Because these are reactions. Hostility, fright, anticipation, surprise, cheerfulness, rejection, trust, and aversion. Hostility is a pretty fair reaction. You get to punch someone, fight, get angry at them. Fright is also a fair social reaction. If someone is too threatening for you to take on, your instinct tells you to run away. Anticipation. Now this one will be a little difficult because this is you thinking that you know what will happen. But I don't know, man. I will keep it there for now. Surprise, cheerfulness, ejection, trust, and aversion. And be supported by it. Can be supported by it. Can acquire the resource. Can acquire the resource. Can identify the future. Can identify the future. Can destroy the threat. Can destroy the threat. Okay, so I don't know if I will need this because having, for example, love or disapproval, now those would be pretty cool, pretty interesting. I don't know why disapproval is surprise and dejection. Can't acquire the resource, can't identify the future. Weird. I would swear that that's something else like disappointment. Is there disappointment in here? I don't see disappointment. Okay, whatever. A revulsion, that's a strong one. Hope? Kind of. I could kind of see it. Submission and dominance, those are very social. Can be supported by it, but can or cannot destroy the threat. Yeah, okay, whatever. We have 8 very basic social reactions. This, I have a feeling we don't need this. Let's just test it for now. Abandoned in the time of need. How will you react? If there's a need, you probably need to either destroy a threat, in which case you could get aggressive or afraid. So that's a fair way to do it. Being betrayed in being abandoned in time of need would be surely surprising. It would probably also be ejection, like cannot acquire the resource. This definitely aversion can't be supported by someone. So out of all of these, I feel like it's just whether you react with hostility or fear. Because you were surprised, dejected, and averse. I'm trying to think if that makes sense to me in my head. Love confession. Okay, is there a threat in question? Not really. Unless you would consider being confessed to something frightful. In which case, I guess that could be a threat. It could mean that you view it as a threat. Whatever. Anticipation or surprise. That just depends on whether you expected a confession or not. So, not really agency there. Cheerfulness and dejection. Either acquiring the resource or not acquiring the resource. Okay, let's first go to the other two. I think trust in this case would be fitting because actually maybe it could be a fake love confession, in which case it could be aversion. Or maybe the future surprise, whatever. The cheerfulness and dejection in this case, I feel, is the most fitting. Even if calling potential love partners resources is kind of weird, but let's just roll with it for a bit. If you were in love with this person too, they will feel cheerful because you can acquire them. If you wanted to acquire something else, someone else, you will probably feel dejected because you wanted someone else and this person instead came and confessed to you. So, no, thank you, but no, you know, something like that. So, love confession, I think, has agency in this kind of secret shared. Is there a threat involved? Well, if the secret is a threat, there could be something. Anticipation and surprise, that depends on whether you knew or not. I'm starting to see a pattern. The anticipation and surprise is just related to whether you knew already or didn't. Not much of a social reaction then. Let's just remove them for now. Okay. So, getting a secret shared, if it's a threat, it could induce in you hostility or fright. If it's a resource, like there's a secret hidden treasure under the grandma's house, it would lead to cheerfulness. Trying to think of a secret that would lead to dejection because you cannot acquire the resource. I think I have it. Kung Fu Panda. Opening the scroll, the dragon scroll, for the first time leads to dejection because you wanted this power of the dragon warrior, and it turns out that's all crap. It's all bull crap because the scroll is empty. So you cannot acquire it until your goose dad tells you that the secret ingredient soup is nothing, but perfectly fine. Sharing secret, I think that would build trust. Okay, I'm starting to notice it. Trust could be a score, which increases when you do something that could put you in a risk, and decreases when you hurt or something like that. Because this is, I mean, it's fine to have it as a reaction, but in plenty of these situations, I feel like it's less about what's happening right now and more about how was this person behaving towards me in the past. You get what I mean? Yeah, maybe that's the right way to call it. So let's just put this away. It is gonna be a separate idea, but it is worth keeping. Cheerfulness and dejection. I think the remaining four are actually really good. I don't know how I would turn them into specific abilities, but these four are actually really good. Because this is about removing threats, this is about acquiring resources. This directly relates to the threats. It directly relates to the threat, and the other one to the offer. So, someone is threatening me. I can either destroy the threat, deal with it, or I cannot destroy it. How I choose to feel is my own choice in this situation. I am the king. I got sent a blackmail letter. If I don't comply, my son, the prince, will die. I can either feel like, oh, I can definitely get rid of this whoever is blackmailing me, or I can go, oh shit, I know nothing about him. I don't know where he is. I cannot destroy him. As for this other one, I can either acquire the resource or cannot acquire the resource. So in the king situation, I can either get my son or not get my son. Although this kind of feels like the choice of someone else, not my own. Yeah, I feel like these are the essential ones for me. Because anticipation and surprise relate only to what you knew already. If you know someone's secret, and then, I don't know, if you know Carl's secret, and someone approaches you and goes, hey, I want to tell you a secret about Carl, you will feel anticipation because you can already identify what the secret could be. If it's a different secret, that's gonna be a surprise. So this is not agency. And now I am confident about that. Trust and aversion. That's where things get a little more complicated. Because trust... Actually not complicated, I already wrote it. Track trust for each NPC as a general relationship level. And opposite of trust is aversion. I guess trust could go to negative numbers as well. And maybe it could start higher up, like for gullible people, or I don't know, very social people or something. I don't know. Either way, we've eliminated 4 of these. We've eliminated everything in the support, trust and aversion. So these 2 are completely gone, as well as the last 2 columns of everything. Alright. And we also eliminated, hold on, let's remove these 2, the middle 2, anticipation and surprise. Anticipation and surprise. Okay. And we've got ourselves a pretty interesting grid. frozenness, when you are feeling both fight and flight. Pride, when you feel cheerfulness and hostility, so you can destroy the threat and gather the resources. You will also feel envy when you can destroy the threat but cannot acquire the resource. Guilt, when you can acquire the resource but cannot destroy the threat. Shame, when you cannot do either. And bittersweetness, when you feel like you can and cannot acquire the resource. Maybe it's different resources or something like that. Okay, well, this is a little helpful. I believe now the table is small enough. Nah, still not. I mean, it is almost there, but let's just keep it a little smaller for now. Okay, we can also get rid of these, because we got everything necessary about that in there. Threaten, we can remove that as well. Okay. I don't remember what I wanted to do with these. I just wanted like examples of if an Arnold builds up a trust with you and then betrays you. Actually, maybe betrayal could be related to trust. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. If your trust is high or low with the NPC, is also gonna matter. Because if your trust is high and you suddenly realize they are a threat to you, it's gonna be more of a betrayal than if they were untrusted by you and suddenly became a threat. Like, okay, some characters from show or story. Lord of the Rings. Okay, if Frodo is betrayed by Orc Commander, it's not gonna be surprising. If Frodo is betrayed by Boromir, that will be surprising. That will be a betrayal. Because Boromir was a friend. You know, he trusted him, at least at the start of the journey. He lost more and more of the trust as they were traveling more. Whatever. The point is just something threatening from a friend will be considered a betrayal. I don't know. And being offered something, some resource, by someone you don't like, could maybe also be viewed in an interesting way. Okay, okay. I think I'm formulating something. Okay, for now, this is gonna do well, I think. Okay, I think I'm ready to end the stream tonight. It was not much, but I just needed to process these thoughts, and now I have more food for thought for later in the night. Thank you for watching. It was lovely to be here again, and I can't wait to stream until I stream again. See ya.